Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Roy Canning.
And I'm Mike Delisio.
Welcome to Four Squares. Today we're taking a look at My Farm Shop, which looks like an app on your phone.
It does.
Facebook, yeah.
You need to check every 5 hours.
Definitely gives you that vibe.
Turn off notifications kind of a thing.
Correct.
I will send you, you can buy 50 coins for $1.99, and you'll spend 38 of them on something, and
That's
then you can't do anything
outrageous.
with the remaining 12.
Outrageous, I tell you.
Okay, we're not making fun of the game. We're just...
No, this My Farm Shop is a dice rolling game where you roll dice for resources. There are many games like that, and then you try to get points. That's a bad overview. Let's go to Chris for a better one.
Here's the setup for a game of My Farm Shop. Each player will have their own farm board, shown here, and their own little market stall, from which they'll be able to sell goods that they have stored on here with 16 spaces. This is a game where the active player will get to roll the dice, add a card anywhere onto their farm, and then everyone around the table will activate one of the spaces on their board. So let's go ahead and use this as a starting roll here. The yellow active player will get to grab one of these cards and add it anywhere onto their board. They do so by taking one of the dice that corresponds to the number of the card they want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they'll grab card number 1. They'll get to place this onto the board anywhere that they want to, and then every player will get to activate space number 4. So maybe this player will go ahead and put it right here on a space number 4. Now every player gets to activate whatever the number 4 shows. In this case, the yellow player will get to grab one of every good and add it to their market stall. This is a great card, but it's a one-time use. It will just be discarded. So after everything gets added, here, the other players simultaneously can go ahead and just grab. This is a symbol for one good of their choice. If they want to add to this one here. Fantastic. Once that's done, the card will be refilled. The next player will go, they'll roll the dice, they'll separate one of them to add any card, or to grab that number card onto any space, and then they'll go ahead and they'll activate with this. Now let's say that this player wanted to grab card number 4, but they wanted to activate something besides what they rolled here. They can use these burlap sack tokens, to change what number they want to activate. So instead of having to activate space number 5, this player, for themselves, could activate space number 4 if they wanted to, and they can grab one of these, any goods that they want. The other players still have to activate space number 5, so they get an egg. So this just kind of continues here, and then the card refills. You're going to play through this entire deck here. And so you'll see that there are actions where you grab resources. There's also actions where you sell resources, and this is the main way that you're going to get points. In this case, sell an egg from your market stall for 3 coins. If you can activate that, sell the egg, get 3 coins. This is the victory points of the game. The cards are ordered from 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 6. And then you'll notice that later in the game there will be bigger selling actions. You can sell one of your burlap sacks for coins itself, or you can get rid of any 3 matching goods for 9 coins. You can grab a honey and an egg, or sell a honey and an egg for 6 coins. So there's going to be bigger ways to score as the deck runs out. Once this runs out, you just count up the score. Every player gets to activate one last field of their choice, and then whoever has the most coins is the winner. Now, one other thing that I want to mention, there are these sunflowers. Space number 7 on the starting board says here, trade in any two resources at all to get a sunflower. You can put a sunflower onto one of these spaces that shows these symbols here. Some spaces can hold 1, some can hold 2. This allows you to increase your output of that action space by 1. So let's say this was the roll here, and I want to change this 7 into an 8. I spend one of my burlap sacks. I can activate space number 8 to grab a honey and a sack. But this sunflower means I get 1 extra output of anything, so I'll grab 2 of the burlap sacks and then 1 honey, and then that'll be my turn. So the game does come with 3 little modules to advance things from here. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is variable player boards. They're already a little bit different. You'll notice that the goods are in different places. But to really change things up, you can play with this module here, where at the beginning of the game you'll shuffle these up, and every player will get to pick a pair of starting cards because space number 4 and 8 are empty. So in reverse turn order, hey, I want to add these ones here and here because they're permanently great. And the next players will get to do so as well. Very easy module, just a fun little way to start off the game. The next module is the goals objective cards. You'll set out 2 of these at the start of the game, whatever they may be, and players are working towards this, and we'll have these little tokens here to indicate when they've completed it. On your turn, if you have 8 of the burlap sacks, then you can go ahead and put this little token on here to say, hey, I get 6 coins. And then the next player to be able to do that will get 3. Over here, this one says, for example, that the first person to fill up all 16 spaces of their market stall, or first person to have 6 of the same type of good, or just anything like that. Those are just easy little objectives to work towards, always 6 and then 3 points for whoever completes that first and second. The last module is a little bit more complex, and I've actually tucked it away so that I don't have to do more setup. This is the Farmers module. Over the course of the game, you'll be able to grab some of these farmer tokens, if you like, by grabbing the farmer card. This card will be added out to one of the spaces here, and on your turn, when you roll the dice, I want to grab the card from space number 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do this here. I'll activate I'll do space number 5, and I'll use one of my burlap sacks to be able to actually grab from space number 4. This is not a card that you add to your field. Instead, it means that you get to grab 2 of these farmer tokens, whatever they may be. I want the blue one, and then I also want the green one. These are tokens that will go into your board here, take up space, and any time that you choose on your turn, you can activate them for the corresponding actions. This one lets me do the blue thing, which when I activate when I place out sunflowers, I can put them onto a field that doesn't have space for sunflowers. And then I would spend this and it'd be gone. Or this one, the green one, allows me to swap the position of 2 cards that are on my board. If I don't like how these are, I could swap them, and then that's my green activation. So the game comes with several of these, it comes with multiple objective cards, and it comes with several of these starting cards. That's what comes in the box of My Farm Shop.
So what did y'all think of the look of the game? The cutesy artwork?
It looks like it's almost marketed as a children's game, or definitely a family game, but almost to the point of being a kid's game, and that's going to be something I revisit a little bit later on.
I was just about to say the same thing. All right.
I thought this was a follow-up to Dream Home, but it's not.
No.
It's not the same designer. I don't know if it's the same artist or anything. I don't think that it is, but I thought, like, oh, okay, it looks like that type of line. Family weight game, maybe even leaning young, but it's not, I don't think.
It's not.
Yeah, the art was interesting overall. Like, it's not the sort of thing that I'd be like drawn super towards, just the whole cutesy thing. But I felt like it sufficed as far as like everything, the way the stuff looked, and the way to easily recognize the symbols and things like that was not too hard to get together.
Well, I don't like to come back to things. So, he said it looks like a family game.
Yes.
But
there's a lot of little gamery things that I think... So I feel like there's a little bit of an issue with what you see and what you might expect to what you actually get. So, you know, I don't know how far into this we want to get.
Let's talk about that. So, we were talking about this earlier. I particularly am not a big fan of when you talk about a game constantly referring to other games, because you're not here to hear those other games being reviewed.
Right.
You're here to hear this game. The problem is this game uses a mechanism that is extremely well known, especially with Machi Koro, which is the most popular game in this genre.
Yes.
And then in gamer circles, Space Base.
Right.
Or even to a lesser degree,
Valeria
Catan.
Valeria Card Kingdoms too.
Oh, very lesser.
Foodies.
Hey.
But yes, it's a genre. And so, what's this game going to do differently? A lot of people like these games because you roll some dice, get some resources.
Yes.
With My Farm Shop, and this is where I'm going to agree with Mike, you're rolling the dice, you then pick one die that will be the card you take. The other 2 dice are the resource that's rolled. So you have to make those 2 decisions simultaneously, which for a gamer not that big of a deal.
Right.
But I found for new people, it can occasionally be overwhelming. But the game looks like it's for new people.
Right.
Correct.
For sure.
Yes.
I agree with that, and there are also little rules that are in the game that I feel are, again, a little bit out of step with the simplicity that is at least kind of presented to you. Like, for example, the sunflower rule.
Right.
I think that is a very gamery rule. It's not terribly intuitive, and I think if you are presenting this to new gamers, it's going to be confusing to them. It was confusing to me.
I must say, I played part of our live playthrough, and there was a decent amount of times where I was like, did I really do the sunflower thing right? Like, how exactly does that trigger? I mean, I thought it was cool that you could upgrade the different actions and things like that. That's awesome, because you're upgrading this board constantly as the game goes along.
Right.
But that was the thing that I was still, like, halfway through the game, I was like, but what does this make the discount of, and how does it let me trigger multiple times? Things like that.
Yeah, the sunflower itself is not helped when you have a card that gives you this and this.
Right.
And you can only add to one of those with the sunflower, and I'm like, wait, what? Okay, yes.
And there are certain cards that have a little no sunflower symbol on top, meaning that you can't augment the power of it by sunflower, which I feel like this looks like such an easy breezy game. It shouldn't have those little exception kind of things to it.
I agree.
So I don't know. I feel like that shows that it's well made, but it could be refined perhaps a little bit more. One of the small things that stuck out to me was that the resources are circles, and the place where you store them on your little player board are squares.
That is true.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. But yes, I get it.
Yes. That is an odd component choice. I agree.
Yeah,
yes.
so little things like that I think could be
Makes
done
it easier
better.
to pick up.
It does, but
Okay, so we said that. I want to be clear, at least from my perspective. Maybe you guys disagree. That I said that in that concept, it looks like a simple game, but it's a little bit more gamery than you might think. I still enjoy it for that purpose. I like the decision of which card am I going to take and put it somewhere. I was just kind of giving that dynamic. So I like that, and I felt like that's a little bit different than the other games in this genre.
Yeah, it is similar overall to the whole like engine building thing where you're like, okay, I really want to go for this style of resource so that way I can try to grab this type of card that spins that resource. And there's a lot of interesting mechanics in there where you can try to figure out how to, I guess, min-max your board to the proper usage to be able to like spam a certain type of resource and then throw it all back in for points and race the other players up. I find that part actually decently enjoyable, but that is in a lot of other similar games to this.
Yeah, I do wonder sometimes, it seems like some decisions are maybe obvious, right? Like the numbers that are going to be rolled more often, due to probability, you're going to want to put cards that you feel are going to be the best cards because they're going to trigger more often. Or even play those cards that I'm not a huge fan of that point arrows. To me, that's another gamery thing that is out of step with the rest of the game.
That's easy. You're like, if you roll this...
this arrow can point to another arrow card. That arrow can point to a sunflower card.
That.
It says in the rules specifically that you can do that. I guess what I'm saying is that this game just feels slightly out of step. Like, is it a family game? Is it a kids game? Well, in some ways it is. Take your best cards and put them in the easiest spots. That's an obvious decision. It's almost not a decision. But then it's also mixed with, well, you can add all these modules to make it even more gamer if you want to, and then you have the sunflowers. I just feel like this is a game that's kind of in search for what is its place. And also, I can't look at it in a bubble because I have played those other games that do very similar things. I feel better. That's the struggle I have with this game.
Well, let's pause here for a moment. You mentioned the modules.
Yeah.
I have some strong thoughts on the modules.
Okay.
There's three modules, right? There's the
end game goals, there's the starting board differences, and then there's the farmer with the 4 different mitigation things that you can go for. I covered all those in the overview, yeah.
Yeah, so the starting board differences, since it's a gamer game, I would play with those even when teaching new people, unless they're beginners. Right. I like the gaming in general. But if you play games before, we're playing with the starting things. I think that's great. The in-game bonuses is a wash. It means nothing to me either way. You can have it or not.
Right.
The farmer thing is I dislike because it adds a lot of complexity to the game for almost no payout. In fact, I actually felt like I liked the game less.
Oh, yeah. You have to forecast what type of mitigation. Okay, there's 4 types of mitigations I can choose from. I think in the future I might like this one where if I roll the same number on 2 of the dice, then I get a free resource because maybe I'll be shy 1 resource in the future. That's a bad choice. You shouldn't have to try to predict that type of
So many extra rules, too. I really dislike the farmers. But you don't have to play with them.
Right.
But I'm just saying I never will again. I did it for testing purposes, and I'm done.
Also, I'm trying to think of the scenario. Like, I know that there's been more of a kind of a thing in hobby games lately. We're taking games that are gamer games and making them cute, like Root, for an example, or Everdell.
So people like it.
I love it. I love it. But to me, there's a continuum here, and this is on the extreme end of the childish-looking continuum. You have this out on the table. Are a group
like
of
a coloring book?
right? Are a group of gamers? Go, and it's not even really the theme. The theme is fine. Look, how many farming agricultural gamers games are there out there?
You're belaboring this point a lot, though. Take yourself out of that. Do you like the game?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't. But there's context to it because I feel like it's mechanically designed well enough, but I have some issues with it, and it's all contextual. It's because I've played other games that do this better. Also, I feel like it's got a crisis of what is it? What type of game is it?
Yeah, I do appreciate that you can grab a card on your turn and put it onto a field immediately and activate
and then score it. That's awesome.
That's good.
Sure.
But I feel like the ongoing engine that you build is too clunky. That's probably my biggest complaint, is that you can accidentally realize, oh, I have too many selling actions and very few getting resource
Sounds
actions.
like a Chris Yee problem.
It is
I'm
a
pretty sure I heard you complain about this.
Well, no, I mean, I there's a whole lot of stuff where, like, at the beginning of the game, I had too many resources, so I had to figure out ways to spend that sort of stuff. I actually really do. I don't know if we've talked about it much, but the fact that you have those, like, flour bags or whatever that you can mitigate the dice
Right.
with,
Yes.
and that's, like, constantly in the back of your mind, like, how much do I want to spend to mitigate dice, and just hoping that someone rolls close enough to the thing you really want to trigger, so that way you can be like, done, I'm doing this, I'm finally getting to get the payoff from this thing, and being able to spend all my resources for it. I find that sort of stuff really enjoyable for like engine building type stuff.
Alrighty, well, Mike, we'll let you go first since you clearly love the game. Final thoughts and rating.
Okay, so my final thoughts are that I feel like I've mentioned many of the reasons why the game's not going to score very highly for me. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. I feel like it's mechanically solid. It's fine. It's not like a broken game or even something that I feel like is a drag. I just feel like, who is it trying to serve? Is this a gamer's game? No. Does it have gamery rules? Yes. Does it look like a child's or a family game? Yes. Do other games do this better? Yes. So for all of those reasons,
leading questions.
Yes. For all of these, for all these reasons, yeah, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. It just doesn't work. I have no interest in playing this again.
All right, Chris.
I'm going to give this one, for me, a 6 out of 10 because a lot of the same reasons that Mike mentioned. I like I said, I found that almost every game, my engine is too difficult to keep balanced between not getting flooded with resources and having no sales avenue, or having too many markets and not enough resources. And it's a little bit difficult to pivot. I think is my big thing. And so I expected this to be one type of thing. I expected that the choice of the dice, splitting the 1 from the 2, to be a little bit more meaningful, and I find it okay at best. So it's 6 out of 10 for me. It's okay.
Roy?
For me, I'm going to be the exact same as Chris, but probably for very different reasons. This is not a theme that I'm super excited about or enjoy that much. It's a 6 out of 10. I mean, I thought overall it was definitely interesting, like building up those things and trying to build up your little farm and being able to trigger all the stuff. I did find that enjoyable, but in the end of the day, I just enjoy other games in this genre better. So I would rather play those. So 6 out of 10.
I'm giving this 2 7s. One for me and one for Ruben.
14 out of 10.
Okay. Well, that's fair. It actually helps for me to hear how someone in her age group.
Again, Ruby just played Chronicles of Drunagor, so.
Sure.
I like it. I really do. Especially in a vacuum, it's better, for sure.
Right.
I think I like it more than Machikoro. Because I don't think it's as mean as Machikoro. There's not a lot of meanness in this game other than the drafting. Oh, you took the card I want. Fine.
That's true, I suppose.
And even though there is gamery things in it, there are a few leading things for new people. For example, the deck of cards comes out in a very specific order.
Correct.
I mean, it's a little random, but not much.
It's staged, yeah.
And you can get a tiny little engine going, not a lot, and you're like, well, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm just going to collect eggs and sell eggs.
Right.
I'm an egg guy now.
Egg guy.
And I like the sunflowers. I like the bags. I found it enjoyable. It's not as good as Space Base, but then again, most games aren't. Space Base is in my top 10 games.
It has a lot of smart mechanisms, but I don't feel like they flow with each other as well as it could.
I agree. But I still think the game is fun. If you said let's play it, I'm in. I'm happy to play it. So because of that, I have to say I like it.
Sure, of
And
course.
my kids liked it too. It was a good family game back and forth. Yeah, there are a few minor things, and that's why it's not an 8, 9, 10, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
It was good for me. So, and I like the theming and farms, you bunch of
What?
I have no issues with the theme at all. I think the theme is fine. I mean, if you did, you couldn't play 80% of Euro games.
Exactly.
All righty, well, there you go, folks. That's my farm shop. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Roy Kennedy.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
Have fun eating potatoes.